Anyway, let's talk about some news. The big one for the day, everybody's excited about this. Beta test news for Guilty Gear and balance changes. May 13th on Thursday, and then it'll be there until 8 a.m. on the 16th, the Sunday. It should be a fun time. I'm interested in the beta. If you click on this page, it takes you into the time slots for whatever time zone you're in, right? So it's got details here. We have the online matches with the parks and also the main lobbies, right? So this is good info. These are all the characters. Anji and Ino are playable, and they've made some changes to the online modes. So the way it works is when you're in the new lobby, right, you can select a duel station to queue up for battles. I don't want to call these cabinets. That would be archaic. There are setups, right, where you can go over to them and sit down and play against people. If you look up in the top right, there's a news section that's collapsible. They announced this before. They said the news section would be collapsible so you can see the rest of the lobby. Really, I don't know how this was not thought of before, but I'm so happy it happened. It is essentially just the arcade cabinets they used before, but it's much better than just holding your broom in a random place or teleporting across the entire lobby or whatever, right? Just like actually going to one of these places is much better. A rematch function has been added in the rank tower. So in these towers that you see on the screen here, right, you can rematch up to 3 times or until either player's recommended floor changes. So if you boot someone up or down and they can't be in this floor or whatever, you stop getting instant rematches available. In the open park, you can rematch infinitely. So, you know, that's great. You want to go play your friends, you just go to the park, you can rematch infinitely. You don't have to worry about anything. So balance changes. This is the big one. You want to talk about people getting grumpy about the layout changes. Oh, man. So many people saw this and it was like a nightmare out there. What's funny is like somebody said something to me like, hey, these layout players complaining about the balance. You were complaining about the lobbies and rollback and game mechanics and stuff. Why aren't they allowed to say that the game's dead and they're never going to pre-order and the game's bad because layout got changed? And I was like, okay, I don't know how to explain this to you. Balance adjustments for characters in a beta is very different than system mechanics and system things about the game. If you don't understand that, don't buy the game, please, because I don't want to have to explain it to you 8 years from now when you're still playing. Literally every character will change. It's very different than like, does the game work online? Balance adjustments. These are interesting. When the same move is used more than a set number of times in a combo, the opponent now falls more quickly. This is to prevent like the infinites that were in the game. Now, the second point here, aerial actions in general have been adjusted. Adjustments vary for each character. Using aerial attacks, double jumps, and air dashes now causes recovery on landing. I don't know what this means, whether there wasn't any before and they just added some, or whether there always were and they're increasing them. I would have assumed that buttons and stuff had landing recovery before, but who knows what the actual change is going to be like. And then it says, double jumps and air dash is also recovery landing. So you can't air dash and then land and then like immediately block. Unless maybe you can cancel into another action that allows you to immediately block. I'm not even sure. Characters not enter an airborne state later after a jump begins, which also means I assume that if you're trying to up back and you get hit during your pre-jump frames or something, that you can be hit grounded from it instead now. So it's easier to punish up backing. Here's the deal. Why does this change exist? Everybody's talked about how the air options were too strong, right, in the last 2 betas. So you can jump at someone, you don't have to FD like you did in older Guilty Gears, and you can air block whatever move they did. The second point is, when a character in Guilty Gear, like say Exert or another game, hits you out of the air, they take you upwards and then downwards, right? So like Kai anti-airs you with like 6P2H or 2H or whatever and does like an air combo and then brings you back down to the ground. In this game, characters don't really get hit up. They get hit outwards. And because they get hit outwards, it meant that a lot of the routes were very like horizontal. It pushes you towards the wall. So like when you're trying to like anti-air and then do combos and stuff with the more restricted air gatlings and with the kind of like change to the air dash, at first especially, like it felt weird to do air to airs or anti-airs that felt meaningful when you got damage. And then obviously holding up back was really useful in a lot of situations because you didn't have to like jump and then FD immediately to try to block. You can just hold up back. And also, a lot of characters just didn't have good reward off of their 6P. So that's why they're trying to make changes to make the jumping weaker, right? Is because people think jumping is too strong. Now, are the changes great for what they're trying to do? I don't know. You know, I don't want to be that guy, but you know, if you had to spend meter to block in the air, I think the air options and air approaching of the current game would feel a lot better. It's weird. It's weird, but they clearly don't want to do that, right? They clearly don't want FD to be the solution to air situations. Now, whether the recovery is really long or if it's the same as other games or it's only on certain jump moves or it can be canceled by running or it can be canceled by, like, who knows those answers and how it feels, right? But those are the reasons they're making the change, and I'll come back to that. 6Ps have been adjusted to work as an anti-air. Adjustments vary for each character, I think, to make their 6P combos better. Recovery time has been increased after blocking an attack while in midair. This is something that also was a big problem. So what would happen is you would jump at Soul, empty jump, just block in the air. Soul will do 5K. You cannot confirm whether they hit or block it. You have to immediately jump and hit K again if you want to do your normal air route off of it that does any damage. And he would jump to chase you, and then your character would just like fall to the ground, and you could just like anti-air punish Soul while he was trying to anti-air you, which, I mean, that felt bad. There should be an RPS there about what the right choice is. This jump in or this angle loses to 6P, but it beats my other anti-air. But my other anti-air beats that angle, but 6P loses to it. Or it beats both of my grounded anti-airs, but I can air throw it. Or this option is really good at beating air throw or fast grounded anti-airs, but it loses to uppercuts or it loses to blocking and I can punish it, right? So my assumption when they said we're going to make changes to 6P and we're going to make the air game feel better was that they were going to just increase anti-airs, right? Or do the change here, which was recovery time has been increased after blocking a tackle in midair. This with anti-air buffs to me sounds like a nice way to do this option without bringing FD back, but also making it so that aerial actions, like all of them, cause additional recovery frames is a really weird, in tandem to me, that sounds like a lot. I wish they had buffed anti-airs and then done, like, seen how that worked. Then if it still required something else, change maybe the movement options or something, right? But it's hard to know how this feels or how this is different until you see it. Like, I don't even know, I honestly have no idea if Strive had the same landing frames or different landing recovery or like whatever compared to Exert. I have no idea. Whether you can like, the recovery can be canceled into normals or it can be canceled into movement options or how it feels for the characters when they move around. I hope that this adjustment does not make the movement of the game feel worse. I would rather the movement of the game feel good, and I would rather the movement of the game feel faster. But changes like this are so hard to tell what they will feel like or how they are until you try it. It depends on how drastic it is, but I would imagine it's not drastic like you hit the ground and you're just stuck forever after a double jump. If it's like a frame or two, you probably won't notice it. I'm really curious. Do you think the location test had these changes? Man, that would be really funny because I didn't see anybody talk about this, so it probably wasn't there. I feel like people would have noticed. One thing that I find is strange, a lot of people said they found the game really clunky before. They're like, oh, the game felt so clunky before, like I felt so slow, and now like it's going to feel even slower. I didn't feel like the game felt super clunky to me when I played it before. Even the air dash, like I really wish there was a side-by-side of Soul doing IAD jump slash in Exerd and in Strive side-by-side. Because in my head, I feel like they hit on a similar frame. I play plus R literally every day, and then I went and played Strive, and, it's not as fast as plus R, but I mean, like, Exerd's not as fast as plus R either. And the speed to me didn't feel that different. It was slower, but it didn't feel like I was in molasses. I was schmoving. Yeah, did you watch Super Noon's Ram? This guy was... He was on jets, dude. He was just going all over the place. Yeah, I saw people on Twitter saying like, well, they're going to add tripping next, or the movement in this game is going to be so bad, or this, and that. Why did they nerf the jumping? The air movement in Strive already sucked. Like, I'm like, dude, jumping was so good in this. What game did you guys play? All everybody complained about in the last beta was that anti-airs were like weak. Who are these people? Listen. When are they adding justice to Strive? I hope they never do. That character's not even cool. It's a robot and it's like the most boring robot ever. She shoots bombs. Cliff for Strive? Cliff is, I've never seen a fighting game character in my life. If you just like take your face and just floss away at the front of your head, you'll be the best Cliff player in your Discord for sure. That character, bro, he just jumps and hits any button and like he's just like, oh man, I'm so good.